Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt. Welcome to another plugin knowledge session. This week we're going to look at a plugin from Soundtoys called Sie-Q. Not sure exactly how to say it, but you can see how it's written here. So I'm going to assume that's how it's pronounced. This EQ was either offered for free from Soundtoys at a certain point in time, or still is, not sure at all. I have a pack of Soundtoys plugins, so quite often when they release new ones, they will add them to the pack, and I'll get them for free, similar to sort of like a Waves Gold pack, that sort of thing. I've got the Soundtoys Native pack, so it's possible that I got it there. I really can't remember, so sorry about that, but this is a fairly simple EQ, and what it is it's supposed to be a replica of a German-based EQ from the 60s. It's the Siemens W295b, so it was an EQ module that slotted into a console called a Citrol. Don't know really much about it except for the fact that it was German. It was made to almost withstand bombs and was very rugged and could be slotted into modules and racks, etc. It's supposed to have a very gentle sound, very musical, with some subtleness there and some very nice top end to it for vocal tracks and that sort of stuff. But we also have a drive section here so that we can actually also get a little bit of distortion and a little bit of grit into this EQ as well. So this is probably going to be a very quick video because it is just a simple EQ that is just going to sound slightly different from all other EQs. So our low band here is basically it's like a shelf, and we can cut to go minus 15 dB, or we can increase it up to 15 dB. And there's some drawings in the manual for this plugin which sort of shows you how they respond. And when you cut the signal, it is very much a shelf shape. When you boost it, it's still a shelf, but it starts to represent more of a bell type shape. So it has a bit of a dip coming down on the back end. Our high setting here is a little bit different again. When we actually cut, so if we go minus, again we can go minus 15 or plus 15 dB. When we cut it, it starts to represent a low pass filter, but with a gentle sort of curve. So it's supposed to be sort of like a shelf, but it's acting more like a filter than a shelf because it keeps dropping off. It doesn't sort of plateau out and go off there. Now with our mid-band section here, we have some frequency ranges here that we can set. We've got 700 Hertz, 1K, 1.5K, 2.3K, 3.5K, 5.6K. And then we have our gain control, so we can go down to minus 8 dB or plus 8 dB. And this is actually a bell-shaped EQ, as you would expect, being in the mid-range. And depending on the amount of cutting or boosting will sort of depend on the shape of the cue. So the greater the gain or greater the cut, the sharper the cue becomes, so you get a bit of a peak. But if you keep it quite low, it can be a very wide cue, so a very subtle sort of boost there. And then we have our drive setting here, which is not on the original Siemens EQ, and this is specific to this plugin. And you can cut the drive to reduce the amount of signal going into the output amplifier, or we can boost it to increase it to get a bit of distortion and a little bit of drive and a bit of grit out of it. Now the plugin is also applying some auto gain on the drive setting, so as we push the drive, it should balance out the level of the track automatically for us. There's no indication on here for the low and the high of the actual frequency location. So I'm basing this on the graphs that are provided in the Soundtoys manual. And when you look at it, depending on the value you pick, it's sitting around. So for the low shelf, it varies between, say, 500, even down to 100. I'm going to say about 150 hertz, all the way up to 1K, depending on the boost. So the smaller the boost or cut, it will be affected more around the 100 hertz, and then the higher the value goes, the higher the value or the frequency goes, up to about 1K. Now, similarly with the high, again, same sort of thing is happening there, and it's sitting around the 1K again, but going up this time. Now, it's not going up very high, so it's probably going up from 1 to 2K at its starting point. So it's obviously boosting or filtering way beyond that, right up to the top, but that's where it's starting from. So I've got a song here. I'm just going to do this on the entire song, and we're going to start off and just actually see if it has an impact just by bringing it in all together with no actual adjustments being played. And then I'll have a play with the knobs as I'm going, so you can watch what I'm doing and have a listen to what the results are. You'll hear there, it's got a very nice top end on it. So I'm adding quite a lot of top end, and it's not sounding harsh. It's obviously brightening the track up quite a lot, but it doesn't sound harsh. It sounds quite nice, and I'm liking that very well. So you'll hear there with the drive, we can add quite a lot of distortion there. If you wanted to, obviously I wouldn't do it across an entire song, but if you have a guitar or a bass guitar and you wanted to add a little bit of grit and you like the sound of this distortion, you could do that. Even though this has an automatic gain, I can obviously hear there is a level increase, so it's not performing as good as I would like for an automatic level control there to definitely be able to compare, but it's trying to keep it under control a little bit anyway. So that is the Soundtoys Sie-Q plugin. Check it out. I said link below, and see if you like that. If you would like to get some additional EQ plugins, obviously being an EQ, it is not an essential item because you will most likely already have EQs in your DAW. But if you're somebody that likes to get different sounding EQs, some ones that are vintage style and that sort of thing, then this might be something you might like to get. So hopefully it's been helpful. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.